Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well, and we're going to have another bit of information about how you can begin knitting, have more fun doing it, and be more successful with it. So today we want to talk about mystery yarns. We all have those cones that we have not a clue what they are, how to work with them, how to block them, how to take care of them, and what you're wanting to do is to be able to determine exactly what those mystery yarns are so that you can be successful with putting them into a garment and using them. Now, I don't do a lot of Afghans. I do sometimes do flat pieces of fabric if I'm going to do cut and sew, but most of my things are done shaped or rectangles that I make into different kinds of garments. So I know the yarn that I'm using is consistent throughout the entire piece. If you have something where you've got two different or three different or four different yarns that you want to be using, be sure they're all compatible with one another because you will get the knit. You'll have this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous end product, and then you try to block and one of the yarn goes south and one goes west and one goes east and one goes north and you don't know what's going on. And that beautiful piece of knit fabric that came off of your needles is now all bunched and crumbled. The jacket that I am wearing is an acrylic, and it has a texture to it, which is yarn that I really enjoy using. So part of what happens with your acrylic is if you put a heat on top of the acrylic and you block it, it does what is called killing the yarn. So now it is a beautiful piece of fabric, but it's limp. It doesn't have any shape to it. It has surface texture to it because of the pattern that it was knit with, but it doesn't have the same loft or the same density to it because the acrylic fiber responds to the heat by just going completely flat. Now, in this particular instance of the jacket that I'm wearing, that was my intent. I wanted to be able to do that. So when I set out to make this garment, I purposely picked an acrylic that I could kill so that it gives me then this wonderful, wonderful fabric. And I don't have to worry about it doing anything. It's not going to stretch. It's not going to pull out of place. It's not going to give me any problems at all in the wearing or laundering of it. Because it is acrylic, I can launder it in my washing machine at a cool temperature. Or if I need to, I can do just, for example, if I have the neck that needs to have a little bit of attention, but the rest of the garment is in pretty good shape, I don't launder the entire piece. I just take care of the neck area where it might have picked up a little bit of soiling from my neck or from the perspiration if I was out in the heat. So want to talk about what we're going to do with fiber. So I'm going to take you over here to a PDF and we're going to look at some of the different things that you are able to do in getting your yarns identified and then being able to block them correctly so that you have a wonderful finished piece. So I don't know how large this is in terms of you being able to see it, but up here at the top it says knitting terms, and you're going to need to know what the different knitting terms are for yourself. Now, when I have things that I am working with, and I'm going to be getting those working, all of the knitting terms, whether it's press blocking, pressing, an S twist or Z twist like you see here at the bottom of the page, your yarn is going to respond in two different ways. So you'll see the S twist goes one way with the way the yarn is twisted, and the Z twist goes the opposite way. Now these yarns do not play well together when you put them in the same garment. So be sure you check your yarns, identify that it is the letters Z or S that you are looking at when you're looking at your fibers. So now, when you're looking at types of fibers, you have basically two groups of fibers. You have natural fibers and you have man-made or manufactured synthetic fibers. There are, in the animal category, there are Angora, cashmere, mohair, wool, silk. There are, in the plant area, cotton, organic cotton. In linen, rayon, ramine, hemp, or jute. In your manufactured or synthetic fibers, you have acrylic, polyamide, which is a nylon, polyester, microfiber, and many of these fibers can be combined to give a wide variety of interesting fibers. So it just falls under the manufactured synthetic fibers list. Now, when you're working with these things, when you're doing fiber testing, you want to test for the fiber content of any unknown yarn. And you can do that with bleach. There's a simple procedure that'll tell you if the yarn is animal, plant, or synthetic. You pour a little bleach into a bowl, cut off a short length of your yarn, and drop it into the bleach solution. After a minute or two, this is what happens. If the bleach begins to bubble, then the yarn comes from an animal, including the silkworm, and it will dissolve in less than an hour. If the yarn starts to lose its color and goes white, then it's made from a plant. If the yarn floats, then it's an acrylic yarn that will not be changed by the bleach, even though it may lose some color. If the yarn starts to bubble and it does not disappear completely, then it's likely to be a blend of wool or silk and acrylic. So wool and acrylic or silk and acrylic. So more testing that you're able to do is you are able to take your pieces and work with them using caution. You want to be over an open flame and unknown fibers, how fast and how the yarns and the threads will burn. So be sure you have something underneath, and a pan or some kind of container, or you're doing it outside. Be sure it's not windy because it will change the way that your results happen. The result of burning can be that you will need the fiber in question, a pair of tweezers, an igniter, a match or a lighter of some sort, a non-flammable workspace, a container of water, and catch container so that you have something for the fibers to fall into. And you can identify then by the color of the smoke and by how the fiber reacts to the lighter. And I have a chart here that gives all of the fiber burn chart, how it burns, the burn results, the odor, the ash or blend, and the fiber. And then going on down, there are continuing with your fiber blocking chart. It tells you exactly what you need to do. So for example, a mercerized cotton, you machine wash in warm or hot water one time only and dry. So then you can monitor what happened to the swatch that I started with. Is it the same size as it was when I washed it? Did it get larger or did it get smaller? When you know for sure how your fiber is going to behave, then you know what the finished garment is going to do when it gets completed, and you never then have to worry anymore about being sure that you or your customer or the friend that you gave the item to, they won't ruin their sweater. We all have remembrances. I have remembrances of having a favorite sweater when I was a young lady, and my family decided they were going to be helpful, and they threw my sweater into the washing machine, and it turned out considerably smaller and no longer fit me, and I was kind of annoyed with them that they did that. But the point is, you don't want to have that kind of experience going on for whoever is going to wear the end garment that you have completed. Now, fiber blocking, you have all types of methods for fiber blocking. You can pin and wet block, or you can pin the fabric onto, I like to use a Pellon non-fusible that I've drawn my pattern off onto, place my yarn piece onto that schematic, and then go ahead and do whatever technique that yarn requires. So when you are working with your fibers, you want to be sure that you know what they are, how to take care of them so that you don't have any snafus and somebody being able to take care of a piece, or you being able to take care of a piece after you're finished. And so tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about how to do your blocking and measuring successfully so that you know what you are going to get is something that you're really going to be pleased with, and the person who's wearing it is going to be excited about wearing it, and then you don't have to have any experiences where you weren't successful or all that time, effort, and energy is wasted, or you're disappointed in what it looks like. Now, pick your patterns for some of these things, like for example, the jacket that I'm wearing. Pick your pattern so that you can see what goes on the front of the knit and what goes on the back of the knit. When you are turning back your piece here for your collar, this is the back side of your knitting, so the purl side, and this is the knit side of your knitting. So you want to be sure that these two play together well, so they look nice and you have something that really works for you. So explore your patterns. Anybody can do this. That makes absolutely no difference what kind of knitting machine you own, what your level of experience is, and whether you never touched a knitting machine before, you're just starting, or you've knit for a gazillion years and you are familiar with that. You need to be alert to what's on the back of my knit piece, and can I use it in some kind of a garment, because that opens up the world to a whole new set of garments for you to knit and enjoy. Happy knitting!